What's going on YouTube? Cardfight King here. Today guys, I wanted to bring you my updated Beelzemon list for the BT11 format. I don't think a lot of it's changed. Obviously, I don't think the deck or any aspect of the deck really got any significant upgrades to where you want to include those cards in here. Um, so I just wanted to kind of go. Obviously, this is before the advanced deck comes out because I'll be perfectly honest with you. 80% of this deck is going to be invalidated once the advanced deck comes out. The advanced deck just has either reprints of the cards in here or just cards that are just better. The advanced deck really expanded upon the archetype where it's your not just Beelzemon itself, but the aspect of milling. Because remember what I said back when this deck dropped, I believe in EX2, is that EX2, that this style of deck was never supported, even though we had it in like set 1.0 with this Impmon here and Secret Beelzemon milling the top three. You were milling and you weren't benefiting off the mill other than to hit 10 cards in your drop zone so you could warp into your Beelzemon, play Night Raid, grab Impmon, warp Beelzemon, plop a card, and go from there. So the advanced, so with what happened in EX2, they actually gave Beelzemon a somewhat of an archetype, but it was still in its infantile stages. But now with the advanced deck, and then furthermore the support in BT12, we actually have a complete deck that, funny enough, the BT12 Beelzemon X Antibody deck won I believe it was the Japanese National Championship, which is great. So finally, we have a purple deck that's on top. But yeah, so with the advancing and everything, that really kind of just kind of brings everything full circle to complete the milling archetype that Beelzemon provides to purple. So I'm really excited to explore that soon. But going on, but this is for right now if you want to play it at your local tournament or whatever, or Ultimate Cup coming up prior to the advanced deck dropping. I got two different Pogobots. I don't really go to a fifth egg in this deck. This one's just when attacking trash top card your deck. It can be nice because sometimes if you're playing against Crossheart and you run into like a Tamer or something, then you don't get that mill effect off. So this at least gives you a mill. This is the on deletion trash the top two. This is ideally the one that you want to always be on. So you can do without this Pagumon. I just wanted to just throw that in here just in case maybe this is something you want, like just in case, like, okay, you have to raise a Psychmon and you're gonna swing a Psychmon, at least you get a mill off instead of relying on it dying. We still got our play set of Impmons in here. The Trash Top 3 from the deck, the ditch a card, grab a 7 grade Demon Lord or 3 Musketeer from the drop to your hand, and then we have the EX2 Impmon, which, when you mill it off the top of your deck, you can choose up to 3 and mill that 3, but then on play, you can search for Beelzemon and or your Iron Mako Tamer. This Impmon is very, very strong and is definitely going to be a 4 of that carries over into when we grab the advanced deck. Same with this one, maybe not too much. This one is probably going to be a 1 of, so these two probably won't carry over too much, but this one's definitely good. Just a little, premonition there. And I'm running 3 Psychmons. So the reason why I'm running 3 Psychmons is because Crossheart has emerged as effectively like the hero of this format. And what I mean by Crossheart emerging as the hero of this format is that if you guys saw what happened at Nationals and even certain things that I see in my local area, Crossheart is heavily, heavily played. There is a lot of Crossheart players or people that have picked up the deck. The deck is very consistent. Obviously, as long as you see Tamers, yeah, Blackwood Greymon is a bad matchup, but they do have tools. They do have the tools and ability to, win that matchup. As you saw at Nationals, we had someone who, made it to the finals of Nats. Yeah, second place. More people in top 32 in my local tournament. We have a lot of people that play cross art still to this day. So just having three Psychmon in the deck, no Gazi, because again, not really playing against anything that deals with memory. And if they do, with this deck, I really generally don't care too much. But Psychmon, I think, as a floodgate, covers the bases more of what I'm seeing more in the meta and what I'm playing against. So that's the reason why I'm going with three Psychmon. Still running two copies of Soulmon. It's a very mid card. Obviously, I can't wait to replace it. But just when a card is trash. So this is a card where if you're building up a stack, ideally you want him in your stack because you gain a memory when a card is trashed. Doberman is still a very solid card in the deck because it does help with the milling, so you do get the mill off with his ability, and then you can add a purple Tamer or purple Digimon card to your hand, so this can really just get you like another copy of your Impmon back, get you a Ballmon. Really this Doberman can get you anything that you really need. So I like two. I like Doberman at 2 in the deck. You could probably sub him out for Soulmon if you wanted to. I just like the 2/2 switch because sometimes that extra memory gain when you're trying to build it, when you're going for a stack, you see the line that you have a stack in. This definitely comes in quite in handy. This is one of the best cards. Obviously, this is a card that's getting reprinted in the advanced deck and is carrying over. This Wizardmon is unbelievably amazing when it's trash in deck, gain a memory. This is such a strong card, and when attacking again, this is another card where if you're building a stack, you want him in your stack too. So if you draw it, fine. Let's see what we can do to build a stack. You can reveal a purple card from your hand and place it on top of your deck. This just lets you put any purple card on top of your deck, mill it, and then gain the mill effect. So again, this is another card just like the Impmon, which are to me foundationary pieces of the mill archetype and reinforce like being able to help you benefit from milling. Then we're playing 4 copies of Ballmon. So Ballmon is the level 5 version. Within the line. So when attacking, you can trash the top 3 from your deck, which is cool. Again, helps the line, and it's another card that you want to build a stack with. And if you have 10 or more cards, he rewards you with his on deletion to grab a Beelzemon back. So he can't put a Beelzemon to the field. Obviously, I know this one came out in BT10, part of the Bagger Army. He's a wizard Bagger Army, and there is the Beelzemon that is the Crossheart Beelzemon. But the more and more I tested that card, and I tested that card extensively, like 30 plus games, matches and things like that. That Beelzemon just never really comes up. Very niche. It's just that Beelzemon is just not that good, and it's more or less a collection piece going forward. I'm running 2 Skull Satamon. It's just another level 5 to go into, but he does mill you 2 cards to grab a Demon Lord back. The only thing I hate about Skull Satamon is that if you mill your EX2 Beelzemon, and this is the only copy of Beelzemon in your trash, you have to grab it. You have to grab it back because you have to complete its ability, and then you don't get this Beelzemon's win milling skill. You can spawn an Impmon. So this is one of those cards where it's kind of like I'd rather have another copy of Beelzemon in the trash before really kind of going into him. But sometimes you just take that. Sometimes you take that gamble. And then he has the same thing as Soulmon, where when a card is trash on your deck, gain a memory. So that's again obviously really solid. Definitely matches up well with the EX2 Beelzemon. Now I'm playing 3 copies of the BT2 Secret Rare Beelzemon, the Warp Beelzemon, and the reason why I'm playing the Warp Beelzemon is because he has probably the most unique warp mechanic outside of the how like Ulforce and like Gallantmon have the Gilmon and the Vmon that lets you warp into them if your opponent has level 6. Well, this one literally just requires you to have 10 cards in your trash, and he himself is a warp, so I don't need to rely on the rookie having the warp plus my opponent having a level 6 on the board. I can easily just warp right into this Beelzemon, and a lot of times that's just the best play that you have. You warp into him for 4, pop a level 4 lower on the board, now you have a level 6 on the board, and with certain cards that can gain you memory, like your Miss Memory Boost that can put you up to like 4 or 5 memory, you can still keep turn. And if you can combo that with your Iron Mako, then you actually can warp and then go right into like a blast mode or something like that. It's really nice, but really the warp is what you really want, because a lot of times you want to mill this Beelzemon, and unless you're building a stack, this Beelzemon really doesn't do anything for you. Whereas this Beelzemon really lets you utilize the Impmon spam. From what this deck really specializes in is just spamming out a bunch of Impmons, throwing them out, and then attacking with them, or using them to warp into this Beelzemon so you can get your level 6 on the board. Now your opponent has to deal with a level 6, and depending on how much memory they gave you or where your memory is at, this Beelzemon can turn into an instant blast mode and start popping off. So really this has been one of my favorite cards since 1.0, since we got into this game back in 2020, and Beelzemon is obviously one of my favorite Digimon of all time as well. So as you know, I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on all the alt arts that come out of the advanced deck, and putting out a lot of content when it comes to this advanced deck, because there's so much in there that you can do with it. And then this obviously builds, like I said, this builds mine so you can get your Impmons back out. Is when Digivolving, when attacking the trash, can delete stuff, and depending on how late it is in the game, like I said, for this deck, you want 20 cards. 20 cards is where you really want to be, because once you hit 20 cards, this deck really starts to just pop off, and like your opponent is not safe from anything once you're generally around 20 cards in the drop zone. So this card is just amazing. In general, I do have this deck max rarity, by the way. But yeah, so this deck, he'll for every 10 cards in your trash, you add 1 to the maximum level Digimon you can delete. So he starts off at 3, and then once you hit like 20 cards in trash, he can delete a level 5. Once you hit 30, he can delete a level 6. But really, realistically, if you're looking to delete level 6s, then at that point you're looking at just trying to throw out your Death Slingers or go into blast mode and start popping off of them. And then we run 3 blast mode. I do want to run 4, but I'm only gonna. But I did want to run 4. 4 was way too cloggy. I bumped him down to 3. I like 3 blast mode in here because, again, when you mill him, you can pop a level 4 lower. So again, that helps out against Crossheart. Like, a lot of this stuff can help out, like popping like certain Crossheart cards so they just don't linger on the board. Even though they're going to get saved, they don't linger on the board. But you can delete all your opponent's Digimon with the highest level. So being able to like go into this card, now you can either Digivolve for him to 6, or you can Digivolve into him through attacking and utilizing Iron Mako's ability. It's really good. And then once you have 10 cards in your trash, he checks 2. If you have 20 cards in trash, he checks 3. And as I said, 20 is that magic number where it's like, once you hit 20, this deck is just really hard to stop. One Calling from the Darkness, just so it's just one of those things where it's like, because sometimes you'll find yourself like out of resources, and you just need to get back like an Impmon, maybe a Beelzemon, whatever it is. And so this card is just here just really kind of just to help you add your stuff back. And there's some times where it's like you have an Impmon in the raising area, but you don't have all the pieces you need to climb up or go wide or anything like that. Well, you can like use Calling from the Darkness, grab the pieces you need to climb from the drop zone, and then just start climbing, and then just start climbing that way. So it's just a decent card. If you don't mill it, if you do mill it, it is what it is. But if you don't mill it, it is a decent card just to hold in your hand so that you can utilize it later on. 3 Miss Memory Boosts, again, fits with the whole archetype. You could cut Calling from the Darkness and go to 4 Miss Memory Boosts if you wanted to. It just mill 2, draw 1. So once you finish completing the ability, you get the mill 2 ability. You can mill the Death Slinger, you can mill the Beelzemon, blast mode, whatever it is. So it just fits the archetype as a memory boost for what this deck wants to do. Death Slinger is unbelievable. This card is so good, and it's definitely one of the cards that transfers over into the advanced deck. Do not worry. When you mill it, you gain a memory. But like I said, once you hit 10 cards in the trash, you start popping level 5s. 20 cards in the trash, you start hitting megas. You start hitting level 6s. So like I said, once you get to 20 cards in trash, this card just explodes. This card literally just turns into a 4-cost fly bullet. Yeah, it's really, really good. So we run this card because it's such a good removal card, and it's a card you also want to stack on top of your deck for combo plays if if you're utilizing like your Wizardmon, Inheritable, and whatnot. And then last but not least, 3 copies of Iron Mako's, the Tamer. So the Tamer is easy to get back. So we have the Impmon that can search out the Tamer, and we have the Dobermon that can add it to our hand if after we mill it. And really what this card is like, yes, it is a memory setter, but it's also another card that we can utilize to mill cards. So when attacking, you can just trash a card by suspending it, and then that can help proc one of your abilities. But if you're swinging with Beelzemon, it lets you warp into blast mode for 3. So early game, this card is used just to help accelerate your drop zone and hopefully hit one of your cards that proc off of milling. But once you start swinging with Beelzemon, you want to make sure you have a blast mode in your trash so that you can go right into blast mode off of the Iron Mako ability. And this card really is just a really decent combo piece to send around. So if you can get this card early and get it onto the board, it'll just benefit you for a lot of the game. Plus, if you warp into Beelzemon, so let's say you're warping into Beelzemon and you're popping a level 4 on their board, well, the warp is for 4. This card is a memory setter, so it sets you to 3 memory. So you can go into Beelzemon, choke your opponent at 1. They have 1 memory to try and deal with your Beelzemon. If they can't deal with your Beelzemon off of that 1 memory, obviously if they don't have the memory setter out, but if they can't deal with your Beelzemon off of choked memory, I should say, then that means that if your Beelzemon survives into the next turn, then that means you have a free swing at the security and a potential warp into a blast mode. So very, very good card, strong card. Probably gets replaced with the new Iron Mako, but that is, it is what it is with that. But that's been the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been Beelzemon. Again, it's one of my most favorite decks to play with. One of my favorite Digimon of all time. I love the build centered around the warp more so than the stack, because it just feels like this deck really just needs to just go fast to get to where it needs to be. And then I'll see you guys for the advanced deck when that comes out, because that's going to be a whole nother ball game for this deck. But it's been a Card Fight King. Love everybody. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.